All right. Never can tell when these things are actually live. All right. Hey, we're going to do something new today. I'm going to be here kind of like hanging out and doing some comics organization and things, listening to some music. But if you want to join us and chat with me, just hop on into the chat and uh, happy to talk to you, answer questions, anything you want to do. So yeah, I'm just gonna be here for a couple hours and doing some cleanup. And join me if you want. I'd love to have you. So and if you want to hop on Skype, let me know. I'll send you a private message, and I can send you my Skype handle, and we can hang out and all that stuff. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. So I see a couple people are already kind of jumping in the chat here, like Miguel, making sure that this video is, it's public. Whoops, it needs to be unlisted. Well, we're going to have a bunch of people in here that probably shouldn't be in here. That's okay. You lucked out. You got into our Patreon exclusive live stream. So enjoy it while you can. I'm going to make it not public anymore. So like I said, I'm going to be, doing some kind of comics sorting. I went and bought a whole ton of books the other day, like Spider-Man Fever #1. And while I'm doing that, I'm happy to kind of hang out with you guys and answer some questions. And if anybody wants to join the call and chat with me, I'd be happy to do the same. So, yeah, anyway, hope you guys are all doing well. If you are in the chat and you want to say hello and chat with me, that would be really awesome. Just type in the YouTube chat and let me know you're here. So let's see here. Nelly Raps, what do you think about Amazing Spider-Man 500? That is the JMS issue where Spider-Man is kind of able to see his birth as a superhero character and his death in that famous, I guess like now famous, final outfit, the kind of jacket that he's got tailored. And he can make a choice whether to stop his death or stop his creation. And ultimately kind of chooses neither. And yeah, it's kind of a celebration of all things Spider-Man. JRJR does the pencils for the most of it, and then his father, John Romita Sr., comes on and does the pencils for like the very end of the book. I love it, Neely. I think it's a really fun book. I know it's not like super consequential, but I think it's a really beautifully told story, and it introduced a cool new costume, and yeah, I don't know. Is it a favorite of yours, Neely? I certainly think it's a favorite of mine. And at least I'll take an elegantly told, centennial issue any day of the week. Not any day of the week, every 100 issues, but I prefer that to kind of some like bloated mess. Cool, Neely. Yeah, that's a good first comic. You kind of get a little bit of everything in there. I mean, and you can't really scoff at the art. Like two of my favorite Spider-Man artists on one book. Yeah, it's a really good one. Yeah, it was probably one of the first issues I read when I hopped back on Amazing Spider-Man after I kind of, as a kid, I couldn't afford to read the Clone Saga. So, I was happy to kind of jump back on and as a first few issues back, it was certainly nice. I mean, it grabbed headlines and all of that stuff. Very cool. Okay, Mr. Comics 89 asks, "Hey Dan, I just recently got Amazing Spider-Man 6. I now have 1 through 10 in my own quest for a complete run." That's awesome, Mr. Comics 89. Congratulations. 1 through 10. I mean, now we're really getting I can't imagine what you have left after that. Given that you've probably crossed off some of the some of the primary books you might need to finish your run there. But that's so cool. Good for you, Mr. Comics 89. Tell me how many more you have left on your quest. That's pretty exciting. Yeah, Kevin Ewing, I feel the same way. I feel old. But, my first comic was 375, and there are certainly many people that listen to me and read Spider-Man comics that started way before that. So, when you got a character as old as Spider-Man, there's plenty of jumping on points. So let's see. My next book that I'm putting away here, I picked up Spider-Man issue 42 right here, which suggests it has a guest appearance from Iron Fist, and introducing Platoon, the one-man killing machine, which, I can't imagine many people remember this character very much. But it's a really cool looking issue. Jay Lee is the artist on this, and he's got this kind of like Mazzucchelli look about him. Pretty cool issue here. Yeah, so good on you, Mr. Comics 89. Okay, Miguel is asking, what do you think of Ed Brisson becoming a co-writer for Amazing Spider-Man? Well, I got nothing against Ed Brisson. He's not a favorite writer of mine. I know he did like things on like Old Man Logan, and I thought that was fine. And he's kind of done more kind of like gritty things here. I think this is really he's just kind of filling in to help out Nick Spencer, who's doing the Sinister War, and Sinister War is like coming out like every week for like 2 months. So I imagine Nick Spencer needs a bit of a like assist, and so I don't really blame him. If you're a Patreon member, you're going to hear probably this week my review of Amazing Spider-Man 68, and let me tell you, I think that's a really bad issue. So like, if you're asking what I think of Ed Brisson as the writer on that issue, I'm not overtly positive, but I don't really think it's his fault. Like, I think the dialogue is fine, which is probably what he was handling, but the plotting on Amazing Spider-Man is so scattershot right now. So I have no real like beef with him per se. Do I think Sinister War has a chance of changing your mind about the current run? I'm always open to changing my mind about any run of comics. I don't think that there's a way for me to change my mind about this run, because my mind is basically that like it needs a stronger editorial stance and that the plotting is all over the place. And I think there's no better example of it than issue 68. And like, I don't think the comics can be like something like The Sixth Sense, where like you get to the end and it makes you rethink the rest of it. Like, if you're not enjoying it in the moment, no reveal later on is going to make me suddenly enjoy it. I just think that there's something, not that I'm hating this run. It's certainly far from bad, but it's just, there's nothing that's really going to change me, entirely about this. So I would say, maybe it'll like, make me look back on some things more fondly, but I can't imagine changing my opinion all that much. Anti-Sea Bear Circle, which is quite a name. What is your favorite Marvel team-up story? Gosh, that's hard, because so much of it blends together. I have been picking up a lot of Marvel team-up books, and you'll see a few of them here in this collection that I'm putting together today. I think the Claremont Byrne stuff is really spectacular. As we talked about in our Marvel team-up episode, so much of it runs together that it's really hard to like identify an individual story. I like the stuff where they travel back to Salem just because it's so kind of dumb bonkers. And I like laughing at stories that are like completely out of this world insane. Basically Bill Mantlow's entire career on Spider-Man. But I don't know. I know it's not really satisfying. I like the Black Widow, Silver Samurai stuff. That's fun. I think the Red Sonja stuff was really cool too. So that's fun. Let's see here. Mr. Comics is answering my question. He says he thinks there's 85 to 95 left, but I should have no major keys left to get. Well, great, Mr. Comics. There's no rush, but sounds like you're getting there. Neely Raps is asking, fair enough. Who would you like to see write Spider-Man next? Well, I'm kind of like, I want to let Nick Spencer finish his run, however long that's going to be. Like, he seems like he's telling a full story, and I don't want to short that. I think when we short people telling the story that they feel like they need to tell on the book, and I think Nick Spencer does have an interesting story to tell, even if I disagree with how the plotting has been going. I want to see them complete it. Like, I look at like Roger Stern's run, and I feel like that's an incomplete story. And I as much as I love that run, I think it is diminished by not going on longer. But books that I'm loving right now, like Black Cat. I'm forgetting the name of the writer on that book. It starts with a J. Oh man, I'm losing it right now. I'm losing it probably because I'm looking at these Spider-Man Dr. Octopus issues. What the heck are these? They're crazy. What is that guy's name? Who's writing Black Cat? Somebody help me out right now. He just got Moon Knight. What I'm trying to say is Black Knight is a brilliant book, and its pacing is perfect. And I would love to see that writer take on Amazing Spider-Man. Somebody's yelling at me through their computer right now because they know this guy's name, and I'm not thinking of it. I was just talking about him yesterday. I don't know. It's hard to do all this stuff at once. Speaking of comics here, more Spider-Man Dr. Octopus Year 1. Actually, I don't really have much of a problem with this. It's Zeb Wells and Carr Andrews, who are both great, even if it is Year 1. Jed MacKay. Thank you, Kevin Ewing. That's the one I'm looking for. Jed MacKay. Like, I would love to see Donny Cates take it on, but I think he would do like some big idea, which is really, cool. But I think we've had enough like big idea writers on Amazing Spider-Man, and I would just like to see someone just do like straight up solid superhero comics for a little while. That would make me really happy to see on Amazing Spider-Man. I do worry that the book is kind of just fundamentally broken in that, like, Marvel needs the book to be a hit to kind of support their entire line, because so much of the line is now Spider-Man related, that the book just has all these demands on it that just, I don't think that really can be met. And I don't know. It worries me. I worry that the book is kind of in like a bit of a broken place. And that's not to say we can't get good stories, but I think there's so many more consistent books coming out of Marvel, and that they can't really make Amazing Spider-Man sing. I also think editorial is really bad, but then again, that editorial also has great books coming out of other sections of the editorial. So I don't know. I see them doing all these gimmicks and, like, Sinister War, and every arc is an event. Like, I've got this Chameleon conspiracy right here. This is not an event. This is like check-ins with so many characters. It's not an event. And marketing it that way is not helping anybody. Not to mention, like, who even is this on the cover? I don't even know. Is it the Finisher? Does anybody even know who the Finisher is? He was in a bunch of Spectacular and Web of issues back in the day. And, like, they treat him like his reveal here is like the Green Goblin coming back to life. Like, we are mining. I'll save it for my review. But I just kind of think things are not working the way they ought to. That's not to say I could do a better job. I don't dare suppose that. But it's just frustrating as hell. Okay. Let's see here. What other questions do we have? Thanks for hanging out, everybody. This is kind of fun. Let's see here. Dan, hi Dan. This is from SoFlo Entertainment. Hi SoFlo. Hey Dan, what do you think of Ned Leeds coming back? I'm going to get into this in my review of 68. I like Ned Leeds coming back in, like, the Clone Conspiracy stuff and that annual. I thought that was really neat and handled pretty well. And I thought there's a lot of dramatic potential there. Um, you know, because he's like an old core cast member. As much as like, I guess I couldn't really tell you much about Ned Leeds as a person. Um, so I thought like, okay, cool. Like, let's do something with that again. You brought him back in a neat way. I think how they handled it was really stupid. Like, kill him off and then bring him back as the original guy with goblin serum. I mean, like, maybe if you do something interesting with that, like, I'll be proven wrong. Like, maybe actually make Ned Leeds the new Hobgoblin this time. Like, that would be kind of neat if he has the goblin serum in him, or have him like take on the Hobgoblin for what he did in brainwashing. I'm sure there's great stories to be told. But like, again, editorial, like, I would have just had them be like, hey, like, don't kill off that Ned Leeds in an issue only to bring him back as a different guy later on. It's like, cut the fat, get to the stories. Like, I don't need to spend half an issue on the obscure backstory on this guy. Like, or like tease it as a mystery for a little while. Like, we see that some character is working in the background to be Ned Leeds is back. Like, continuity updates are not stories. Like they are just things that happen. And now it's like, these aren't stories, and I'm not really sure what is going on. So yeah. Anyway, Mr. Comics 89 says, for a while it looked like undoing the marriage was finally undone, but I'm not so sure anymore. Do you think it's possible the Spider-Man office will get Mary Jane and Peter back together again? Oh, hey, what's going on? Oh, sorry, my wife just came in here. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Okay, hi. I don't see your phone. I thought I handed it to you. More Spider-Man Dr. Octopus. Really, I got the haul, let me tell you. Do I see them getting them back together again? I mean, in what aspect? Like, they're back together now. Do I think they're going to get married again? No, I don't think so. I think we're kind of at the status quo with some wrinkles that will be added in later when this Kindred thing resolves. Like, Peter's got that engagement ring that we haven't touched on in like 50 issues, because God knows these things can't resolve themselves in a reasonable amount of time. And Peter seems to have outright forgotten that was something he wanted to do. But no, I think the engagement ring is going to trigger something that causes them to kind of like realize they were married or something. But I just don't see them like rushing back towards that. They spent so much capital undoing it. But then again, I never thought they would even get them dating again. So I could be wrong, but I really don't think so. I think they're going to be like a couple. But who knows? I mean, like, Betty's having a baby now. And my whole point is, like, if everybody else is growing up alongside Peter and he doesn't grow up, he looks like an idiot. And he looks like he doesn't have his life together, which he doesn't. But, like, there's an extent to that. So maybe Nick Spencer's run is really a declaration that Miles is going to be allowed to be the teenage superhero, and Peter can finally start growing up a little bit more. So I don't really know. Okay, Kevin said, I used to like Jason Aaron as an option to write Amazing Spider-Man, but his Avengers run has made me think twice about that. Yeah, that's fair. I don't hate his Avengers run as much as other people, but it is all over the place. And again, I think that comes down to editorial, right? Like, how many books can the Phoenix Force be in simultaneously? Like, I thought the Phoenix was like a special event. Now it's in every in some way. And I think if editorial, like, I don't know if they're just looking for a sales gimmick and people pick up books with the words Phoenix on it, but the more you dilute the idea of the event or the special thing, the less it works and the cheaper everything feels. And to me right now, the Phoenix feels like really cheap. And that's, I think, the problem with the Jason Aaron run of Avengers is like every book is like big bonkers idea and nobody's telling him no. And they should kind of push him to be a little more Bendis-y, like New Avengers, and do small things. Remember the New Avengers, their first villain was Electro. Like, fine. It doesn't have to be the undoing of the universe at every issue. But then I guess that's what makes Avengers Avengers? This is kind of a big. This is from Neely Raps. This is kind of a big question, but what is your favorite comic and why? And if it's not a Spider-Man comic, what is your favorite Spider-Man comic and why? My favorite comic. Does Calvin and Hobbes count? I don't know. I guess it's probably a Spider-Man comic. I've read a lot of really good comics. I mean, like, Watchmen is one of my favorite pieces of literature. I mean, I think in the past I've said my favorite Spider-Man comic is probably Amazing Fantasy 15. I just think it's so elegant in its storytelling. It's just really brilliant. Yeah, Calvin Hobbes counts. Yeah, they're brilliant, and they were really formative to me as a young person. So here we go, guys. More Dr. Octopus Year One comics. You know, I telling you, I hit the jackpot on these ones. Ooh, you know what? Here's the deal. There's two of them in one package. Anybody want a Spider-Man Dr. Octopus number 3? Is yours if you can come pick it up from me in LA. My favorite Spider-Man comic, yeah, like Amazing Fantasy 15 is a safe choice. I really love, Kid Who Collects. I mean, if you saw my interview with Ron Friends a while back, I guess a while back, it's like a month ago now, because we've been on such a hiatus. I swear episode 300 is coming this week. We just wanted to make it, really nice for you guys. I hope you like it. We're recording more tomorrow night to kind of wrap things up. What are you bringing me here? Oh, my phone.
So I don't get confused.
Got it.
I feel like you handed it to me, but I don't know where it is now.
I handed it to you when you were on the couch.
I know, but it's not on the couch.
What? Go over earlier.
I know.
Okay. You know where it is, Amy?
Where?
It's in my pocket.
You took my phone.
Yeah, I thought it was my phone. Here you go. This is marital bliss. I hope everybody's enjoying this.
This is what happens when you're married to people who have too many things.
Yeah, and ADD.
And ADD.
I'm still going here on my Spider-Man Dr. Octopus collection. This is number 4 of 5, but this is a different storyline, so different authors. I don't know why I was so like gung-ho about picking these books up, but I was. Favorite Spider-Man comics? There's so many good ones. Like, I mean, I think I've said it on the show many times that my favorite story arc is probably Coming Home. That's the one I buy for everybody. I've read it so many times. It just, like, you talk about elegant storytelling. I think that really is, like, top notch. There's too many. Like, go listen to our essential shows if you haven't already. We talk about a lot of stuff. I mean, I guess those aren't my favorite ones, but they're ones that we thought were, good for building your knowledge of Spider-Man stuff. But, yeah, it's a hard question, Neely. I could tell you every 5 minutes, if you ask me that question, I give you a different answer. Mr. Comics 89. When will we get to see this season's custom artwork for Patreon members? Oh, Mr. Comics 89, that is actually coming. I can show you a little bit of it right now if you want. Okay, so this is our newest piece for Federico Vincentini of Spider-Man fighting Dr. Octopus with all of his supporting cast at a Ferris wheel in Coney Island. So kind of calling back to the Ditko stories of old, although I know that Spider-Man was kind of had a cold and Flash Thompson and stuff were all involved with this, but I wanted something fun. We hadn't done a Patreon art with Dr. Octopus yet, and I thought, like, okay, Dr. Octopus is always fun when he's, kind of climbing. They're like doing airborne battles, and what better on a moving thing like a Ferris wheel? This will be coming in the next few weeks. The only reason there's been a delay on it is I have a scan of it, but it's really low res. And my friend who does our scans for us, it lives in Ventura, which is about an hour away from me. So I'm driving over to his place next week to have it like professionally scanned so that when I ship it to you guys, it is really high res and looks really nice. I can probably show you guys the colored version. I mean, you're going to get a colored version of that Hobgoblin piece that I sent out last time with all of the different suspects for who the Hobgoblin is. So you're going to get a colored version of that. And then next up, I need to get that Spider-Man Juggernaut piece colored for all of our members and stuff. So over the next like month or two, there's going to be a lot of artwork coming your way, both digitally and in print. So I was waiting until my school year was over because I was so busy finishing up this year because I'm a high school teacher. So now that it's the summertime, I can really kind of like, put some pressure on that and accelerate the print stuff. But, we've got a bunch of stuff. I'm way ahead on the prints. So you guys will be getting stuff more regularly now. And the idea is really like December and like June/July, the prints will go out because that's when I have breaks in my schedule as a high school teacher to really like put together packages for you guys. But again, I appreciate your support, and I hope that these prints make you feel like it's worth it. Not and the content that we put together, but you guys are really awesome for keeping me supported here and keeping us going. And every dime that you give us is a dime that improves the show. And I hope you felt that in season 5. And I hope you feel that when you get to see something as awesome as this hanging in your house. I mean, Federico Vincentini is a real, I think, superstar on this book, and I was really thrilled to get him, and I think he might do some more for us. So anyway, Mr. Comics, I hope that gets you excited, but it's definitely coming, so don't you worry. And I've got I don't know if anybody has seen it yet. I shared it a couple places, the Ron Friends piece that he did for us. It's getting inked right now, but by Brett Breeding. But he did a lost page of the kid who collects Spider-Man for us, and it's kind of one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. So that's really coming along. Kevin is asking, how is the Barry Kitson piece coming along? Kevin, your guess is as good as mine. Barry, I think, just moved to a new house, and they're setting up a new art studio for him. So I'm hopeful that new art studio lets him put pencil to paper. But Barry has told me that his thing is he doesn't do commissions in the order that he gets them. He has to wait for inspiration to strike, and he can begin, working on something. So it's like up to his discretion, which was not what he told me when I signed up for a commission and paid for a commission from him. The layout is already done. I've had it for, I think, a year and a half. So I don't know. I mean, I've got enough other artwork coming in. So I'm being patient. So thank you for being patient too. But your guess is as good as mine. I certainly will not be going back to Barry Kitson for a future piece of artwork if I need it on any kind of reliable time schedule. So there's that. I'll say that. Okay. Neely says, I'm also really curious as to what your core reason for reading every Spider-Man comic was. Is it just pure love for the character, or were there other factors? Well, I mean, I don't just have read them all. I own them all, or I'm slowly, building up my collection, one Spider-Man Dr. Octopus year one story at a time. Oh my God, I didn't realize I bought so many of these. I don't know. I was curious. I love the character, and I wanted to know more about him, and And I've been reading him my entire life. I mean, at this point, I've read every issue of Amazing Spider-Man. Like, I don't know, 17 years ago. I finished reading all of Amazing Spider-Man. So now I'm kind of, if I read something I haven't read before, it's just kind of closing holes in my knowledge, which admittedly, I've learned a lot while doing this show. But yeah, I don't know, Neely. The reason anybody does it, I mean, it wasn't like some kind of self-flagellation or whatever. I don't know. I mean, there are painful periods of it, but what keeps you going is love and curiosity, I guess, is the right thing. Okay, we're finally not on the Spider-Man Dr. Octopus anymore. We're on Green Goblin issues. So there you go. This kind of short mini series, which actually is pretty cool. I like it a lot. This is like the Phil Urich era of when he became the Green Goblin for the first time, or I guess like the only time he became the Hobgoblin shortly thereafter. So like, hey, look at this, it's a Hobgoblin fight. So, maybe prophetic. That's a pretty fun series. Oh, looks like I'm out of boards here, which is bad because apparently there's a shortage on bags and boards. So, whoops. I'll have to go purchase some. Okay, next question. Miguel, would you like Dr. Octopus to become the Superior Spider-Man again? Nah, I think we've been there and done that. I mean, I don't love that he's been regressed and doesn't remember anything, because it'd be nice to see some character stuff stick around, but we got plenty of that character and story. I am curious that Nick Spencer seems to be moving towards maybe restoring Dr. Octopus's memory, which I think he's going to handle that and the marriage the same way. It's just like people are going to remember what happened to them. So we'll see how that impacts the character going forward. But I think, we kind of milked that idea. And honestly, I think Superior Spider-Man hung around for a little too long. Or well, at least the quality of the writing about him started dropping off around issue 18 of that run. So I think we got it for what it was worth. Kevin asks, does your new address allow for more space to buy more back issues? Actually, no. And yet I have increased my purchasing tenfold. And the reason is because I moved, or these comic shops opened up near me that are nothing but back issues and really cheap back issues, hence the piles that I have here. And so I've just been kind of acquiring, and I think I've a switch flipped in my brain where I was I want to collect again. So I decided to I'm going to get every Spectacular and Web of and blah, blah, blah. And so now I'm doing that. And other things like Spider-Woman Origin #1, which I have to think will have some value at some point because, I own Spider-Woman #1, but this is the real place where they figured out her modern origin. We talked to Carla Pacheco about. So this is going to have some value, even if there's a ton of copies out there. So anyway, I picked up Spider-Woman Origin, but since I'm out of boards, I'm not going to be bagging or boarding it. So, no, Kevin, it does not. And yet I continue to buy, and my apartment space continues to dwindle. But, I have this kind of nice studio here now with my artwork covering a whole wall. So, I think it's a little bit better. At least my organization's a little bit better. So let's see what else I got here. More issues of Green Goblin. Like I said, Green Goblin. Spider-Man, the Marvel Comics Spider-Man with Great Power, #3 of 5. I mean, who could forget this story? I did. I don't even remember what goes on here, but I think it's like it lets you know some of the more like untold tales from his origin. I'm picking up Spider Girl very slowly, because you can mostly find them in like 50 cent or dollar bins. There's a lot of them and a lot of different volumes of them, but you know, I grab them when I can find them for cheap, and you know, I picked up a What If 105 and a Spider Girl number 0 in the past year, because I know that character is going to be in the next Into the Spider-Verse. There's no way. And I think that like she will probably have her own spin-off with that Spider-Woman film that's being written. So I'm like, I should jump on this before... I mean, look, Spider-Man collecting right now is the worst. Like, it is so inflated. So, Mr. Comics, I feel bad for you collecting Spider-Man. Like, even spectacular issues are like several dollars a pop when they really should be like dollar books, you know? And, I mean, save a few here and there. And stuff is just so massively inflated right now. Like, My Amazing Spider-Man number 1 that I bought, I think about 7 years ago now, 6.5 years ago now. That I bought that book for $2,100 and it goes for like $7.5 now. So, you know, I don't envy anybody that's getting into collecting now. So speaking of which, here is Spider-Man number 36 from Maximum Carnage, $11. And I think that's a pretty good deal, especially since it looks like it's like a 9.6. It's a really beautiful looking copy of it. Kevin, oh, you started reading Spider-Girl too. See, like, I'm like a little bit into it, but I haven't gone through the whole thing, and I feel bad every time I talk to Ron Friends because I know he'd rather probably talk about that. And, yeah, I don't know. Here's another one, Spectacular Spider-Man 203, more Maximum Carnage, another beautiful looking book in the collection. Does anybody want to hop into the Skype with me here and have a conversation with me so I'm not just talking to myself? If you have a Skype handle and you want to hop on the video, you can just do so. Let me know in the chat if you want to join me, and I'll throw you into the conversation here. I picked up a Spectacular Spider-Man number 16, The Beetle and the Badge. Another fun issue. Okay, here's a favorite of mine that I couldn't believe I didn't own yet. And so when I saw it, I was like, I have to buy this. That is Spectacular Spider-Man number 13, The Appearance of Razorback. And anyone who knows the show knows I love Razorback. I love Razorback. I think he would be a character on our show if I had any like feeling that Mark could handle doing an accent like that. I just do not trust that Mark could do that justice. Not that I think he's doing German particularly well. Oh wait, did I say that Mark's doing the voices? He's not. He's not. It's not Mark. It's not Mark. This is going to sound kind of weird now, given that Jason Latour has kind of left comics for a good reason. And I feel a little weird about that in that I've had him on the show a number of times. But, you know, he and I had an in-joke that, like, there needs to be an issue where Spider-Ham and Razorback eat barbecue together. Because, you know, Spider-Ham is not a pig. He's a spider with the powers of a pig. And so, like, it wouldn't be cannibalism. And, you know, we joked about it on the show a few times. And eventually, when he wrote the Spider-Ham annual a couple years ago, he wrote in a scene specifically with Razorback and Spider-Ham eating barbecue together. So I got my wish. And I wanted to own that page, which was drawn by David LaFuente, but I don't think he's sold it or offered it up to being sold yet. I should reach out to him privately and see if he would make a deal, because it would be cool. Although the Jason Latour connection is not great. So, you know, leave it to your idols to kind of disappoint you a little bit. Okay, we've also got Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man number 4, another beautiful looking issue that I picked up, filling out the remainder of my Spectacular Spider-Man collection. Because no collection would be complete without the full set of Spider People. We've got Scarlet Spider Unlimited, #1. The Tomb of Kane. I'm like basically like picking up the issues I couldn't afford when I was a kid and wanted to read the Clone Saga. We've got Web of Spider-Man #2, or I guess Volume 2, #2, or is this Volume 3? I can't remember. Here's a fun one. Marvel Team Up Spider-Man and the Shroud, Master of Darkness. This is number 94. Really cool cover with the black and white and the colors being removed. That's a really neat one. Here's another one that I can't believe I didn't own because it was one of our essential nominations, and that is Web of Death. Spectacular Spider-Man number 221, The Death of Dr. Octopus at the Hands of Kane. Another really good story. Good stories from the Clone Saga, they exist. Kevin, you want to Skype for a bit? Awesome. Kevin, type your handle in there and I'll invite you into the call. Just drop it in the YouTube and I'll invite you in here. If you're comfortable with that. Kevin, do you have a big Superman S as your logo? Like, I feel like maybe we talked back in the day. I just sent you a wave, if that's you, on Skype. And if it's not you, someone just got a really awkward wave from me. All right, continuing on the chain here until Kevin gets me the details. I picked up Venom issue 30. I've got a bunch of issues of Venom. Now, this is the one I kick myself the most about because I was buying Donny Cates' Venom digitally when they were coming out because I was like, I don't want to have more comics to store. Turns out that was a really bad idea because those issues ended up going... those issues ended up becoming quite valuable. And I felt like a real chump because I paid the same amount anybody else did and just didn't get a physical copy. And now those are selling for crazy amounts. All right, let me see if I can add Kevin in here. Here he is. Okay. Kevin, I'm bringing you in. All right, Kevin. I don't think my sound is on, so give me a second here to get you all set up. Audio out. Okay, Kevin, can you hear me? Kevin, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can. Hey, nice to meet you, Kevin. Give me a second here. I'm going to add you onto the chat here. You're going to be posing as Mark on our live chat here. So I hope that's a... Oh, yeah. No. You're fine. I'll change your name in a second here. So Kevin is going to come in. Oh, why did it not add you? Is it not going to let me add you while you're... Okay, hold on. Add existing. No, I want to create a new source. I want to call it Kevin. Sorry, sausage making here, everybody. All right. Kevin is coming in to the chat. Look at that, Kevin. You are now have the privilege of being a part of this nonsense.
All right.
Okay. If you want to center yourself, I don't know if you can see yourself on the YouTube. Uh, there we go. So what's up, Kevin? It's nice to finally talk to you after all this time. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So, sorry, the audio between the YouTube and the Skype was a little.
Oh yeah, why don't you mute the YouTube and then you can just hear me through Skype.
Yeah. Okay, much better. Yeah. So, obviously, name's Kevin. Been reading Spider-Man since probably ASM 296 or 297. I can't remember which one was my first one. I may have gotten miscentered again.
I'm going to try to crop you, so it's not a problem.
And I think I first heard your show in the somewhere around. Oh gosh, when was it? I think in the late Superior era.
Okay.
And listened ever since. And yeah, first time talking to you, so nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you too. Is it weird to talk to someone you've only ever heard in your headphones?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
I mean, it's a little bit weird, the whole like podcaster to listener relationship. Like, I don't know if you've heard me on the /Filmcast, but like I've been listening to that show for 14 years, and to suddenly like be friends with the people on that show and be invited on there, it's like you have a little bit of an unbalanced relationship. Like, you've listened to probably hundreds of hours of me talking, which I apologize for.
I don't know.
But I'm just meeting you right now. Well, first of all, thank you for supporting us for so long. I need to be doing more things like this and saying thank you more often, but it does mean a lot to me that you guys keep us going and that someone listens to our oftentimes insane ramblings. So, thank you so much. So, how did you find us, by the way? Were you just like itching for some content?
So I was pretty new to Twitter at the time too, and someone had shared it or retweeted it or something. So I went in and listened, and then I immediately just binged hours and hours of the backlog that I obviously hadn't heard, and caught up fairly quick. So I really enjoyed it, and I remember at the time I'd be listening to it, and I'd have it, I wouldn't have headphones in, and my wife would walk into the room and hear you and Mark talking about Peter Parker, and she'd just roll her eyes and walk out the room. But yeah, it was a lot of fun binging that, and yeah. So we're supporters because you guys do a good job, and we like what you guys do, and you guys give fair, balanced. Critiques of the issues, and when you like something, you just don't say it's stupid. You give reasons why you might not like it. So yeah, no, it's really good to listen to.
Well, let me ask you this, because I'm curious, because I've been getting more kind of pushback than normal to our show over the past couple of years during, I think, the Nick Spencer run. It's like some people seem to think that we are like grading him more on a curve or like grading him more negatively than we would have, like if it was Slot or something like that. That like our show has gone from being the positive show to being the negative show. And I don't know if that's in comparison to other Spider-Man shows, because I don't listen to other Spider-Man shows, but I've been noticing this popping up. Do you feel like as a listener that like we are, going beyond maybe our like critical lens into, or does it still feel like the same show that it's always been?
I think it definitely feels like the same show. I think Mark's gotten passionate about some things recently in the Spencer run, but he gives good reasons for it. He doesn't just, complain and moan. He gives the critique of why it may not be for him or what's going on, and you do the same thing. So So no, I think I haven't seen a change really, to be honest
Okay.
with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to say. Like, I mean, I think Mark has always, even before the Spencer run started, he was like saying to me, like, I'm really worried about this run because I think Nick Spencer is like, thinks he's a half step too clever. And weirdly, that has become my feeling about the run. I always think back to that, like, comment that he made before the run even started. And I was like, Mark, why don't we just give him a chance? You know? And now I'm like, oh, Mark was right from the beginning. And I think that's like maybe the dynamic of the show is like me finally coming around to being like, well, like Mark's prejudice actually was well earned. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think it's pretty hot and cold for me personally too. Sometimes I think it's wow, this was pretty good. I don't remember the issue number, but the issue where Peter and MJ were in the on the stage, and she kind of had him talk his issues up. I thought that was wonderful. And
yeah.
then, like you said a little earlier, this last issue, not the greatest one. So
Well, it's funny because I thought 67 was really enjoyable, and then 68 I thought was just like a dumpster fire, and I'm like, it's hard to like get a bearing, and I think it really comes down to plotting. It's like the pacing is. I can take an issue like 67 every once in a while, but when that becomes the full run, it's just like okay, like I want a story. Give me a
yeah.
story. But yeah. So what's going on with you? So are you collecting anything at the present, or are you just kind of keeping up with stuff?
I just buy new issues pretty much. I rarely go into back issues. I recently reread pretty much most of the Spider-Man comics. Tried to do it in chronological order, didn't quite do it exactly. So I was buying some back issues then, but for me, if I can get it in a trade or get it digitally fairly inexpensively, or now that I finally got on Marvel Unlimited, which has most things on there that I would have need, I just do it there, and I don't feel the need to. I love I love watching other people when they get stuff and show their collections and things like that. But for me, I just basically to read it basically. So digital's fine for me from now on. But new issues I get still getting regularly.
You're a better person than me. I'll say that. I wish I could alter my spending habits, but I did for a while there. Hey, look at this. I'm actually going to correctly label you now. Oh wait, that was the wrong one to do. Hold on. Here we go. We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna give you a name that says the. Nope. You know what? That name is baked in, so you're just gonna have to be Mark for a little while.
Okay,
Uh,
well, I won't be able to do any characters or voices like he does, that's for
he
sure.
doesn't. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Have you been enjoying those kind of weird tangents away from our normal content? I never know what the listeners think about me writing some bizarre skit that we do for 40 minutes. Are those entertaining, or are they just like, oh, well, Dan is doing his weird thing again?
No, they're fun. There was that one recent one that was pretty much all that, and yeah, I there were times where I laughed out loud. So yeah,
Okay.
it was fun.
Okay. Um, I'm sure I know you and I are like we go back and forth on Twitter, and the Twitter world kind of exists in its own little bubble, and I think maybe I let that bleed a little bit too much into the show. Like I think the average listener that wasn't following me on Twitter turned on the annual episodes and was like, "What the hell is this?" Whereas on Twitter, I'm like posting content from weird Norman Osborn all the time. So I think in episode 300, I'm going to lay out like no, this is actually real. Like what is happening to me.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw a person or two on the Slack kind of thought that it was all an act, and like, wow, I'm kind of surprised that someone had thought that.
yeah, like I have the time to just pull these pranks on myself. Although I think
Right.
certainly a lot of people think I'm probably the main suspect of this whole thing. But
Well, you could be. You never know.
yeah, no, you You truly don't know. Do you have a theory about who it is, or is it just outside of your realm of understanding?
I'm definitely not the world's greatest detective or anything like that, but my assumption is it's been someone that you've already had on the annual episodes, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't. I really truly don't know. Uh, I still
And
like
if it
part of me is like it's the Slack, but everybody has been very, um, like, well, people are weirdly not chatty about it, which makes me think, I'm a little suspicious. But
Well, I think from the Slack, with your concerns and your wife's concerns, someone would have sent that email that
right,
you asked to be sent. So I don't think it is.
yeah. So that's the thing that bothers me the most is like, I think it's all innocuous, except that this person won't email me, and I have to think there's no way that whoever's doing this is not listening to the show and not following me on social media because they've made direct references to that. So why they're not emailing me is the most troubling thing about the whole ordeal.
Right. Yeah.
So I may actually have a stalker on my hands. Um, and then, like, and the thing is, I want to keep making the annual episodes. I think they're hilarious. But I made a promise that I wouldn't until this person emailed me. So,
Right.
like,
Right.
if they want attention, if that's what they're in it for, they're not even getting that because they're not going to get annual episodes out of it.
hmm
So, I don't know. So what do you read other than Spider-Man?
I read pretty much all the X titles, which are, in my mind, phenomenal right now. Some
Like,
of the best.
do you have a long history with X-Men? Because like I've been reading since the Bendis run, and I've read a fair bit in the back, and I find half of the X titles now like completely indiscernible. Like I'm like I have no idea who these characters are or what's going on. Do you have a long history with X-Men?
I do. So I was just reading. G.I. Joe brought me into the game, kind of comic books themselves, and then um, started on Amazing. But then I saw an issue of Uncanny X-Men, and the cover just blew my mind and caught my eye, and that was, I think it's 251,
What's on the cover?
and that's the one where Wolverine is crucified on the X from the Outback era.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I picked it up and totally lost, had no clue what was going on, but at the same time was fascinated by it, and I've been reading ever since. And just started out with Uncanny only, and then kind of embarrassing, but then I got into New Mutants when Rob Liefeld came along. Um,
Hey, people
like
liked Rob Liefeld. He was a force to be reckoned with at the time.
I liked him back then, not so much today, especially with kind of his personality and that. But
Do you listen to his
um,
podcast?
I do not. No,
I have someone that's been trying to get me to listen to that, and I'm like, I just don't know that I can. Like, I've been
yeah,
to enough conventions where Rob Liefeld looks like he's on coke to like kind of swear off of listening to Rob Liefeld. But I've heard it's good, so who's to say?
hey, yeah, not my favorite person, but don't know him personally. So,
Well,
but
yeah.
yeah, I've read X-Men since then, and when the Image guys were hot at Marvel, that's when was branching out into some of the other titles. And right now, I'm reading all the Hickman era, Krakoan era books, and I'm pretty much loving every one.
What's the top of the pile for you there?
Marauders and Hellions to me are at the top. So entertaining, and every issue I get a kick out of.
I've been really liking X Force and Wolverine. Um, and I think X Men is really good when it's really good. Um, there was that one issue that looked like it was like a 90s issue. Do you know the one I'm talking about? It was like issue 11 or 17 or something like that. Um,
What happened in it?
it's like with the Shi'ar Empire.
Oh yeah, yep.
I was like, am I reading the wrong thing? I was like, why does this look like a 90s comic? It's got nothing to do with the storyline in Krakoa. I was so confused. And then by the end, it was like, nope, it was just another story. And I was like, what? There's things like that where I'm just like, maybe I'm missing something here. But I'm sure if someone picked up an issue of Amazing Spider-Man today, they would feel the same way. Like, who the heck is the foreigner and the finisher?
Yeah.
And, did that issue like throw you off, or am I just kind of on my own?
No, no, it didn't throw me off anyway, just from my ex history, I guess. But I think what Hickman, he's just like planting different seeds from that title that will probably bear fruit as his era continues, and
Sure.
hopefully it continues for a good many years.
You want to see a really bizarre pickup that I got yesterday?
Sure.
This is Spider-Man, Storm, and Power Man. And it is they battle Smokescreen. It's an anti-smoking comic. It came out in the 70s. But what's interesting is like in the like late 90s, early 2000s, they did a follow-up to this issue. And, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. They just decided like, okay, we're going to do a sequel to this like random PSA that we did.
Wow.
So there you go. That's not the strangest thing I picked up. I think the strangest thing I picked up is this yesterday. Within Our Reach it's a collection of like Christian like stories with different characters from across the comics line, including like Vertigo and stuff. But there's a Spider-Man story that's like the headliner, and
Oh, wow.
it's like Christian propaganda.
But it has Santa Claus on it.
Yes, it does. Yeah, but it's written by Roy and Dan Thomas. Yeah. Santa looks really demonic too. Like he's got this like brimstone coming out of his mouth. I don't know what's going on here, but
Wow.
anyway, Within Our Reach. Didn't even know it existed until yesterday, and now I will be now I will be wiser and know. And I've been I've accepted our Lord and Savior. So.
So Dan, that's one to show Scott McElroy to see if he has that one.
Well, I know, right? So, like, went shopping yesterday with Tristan Matthews, the guy who is the Guinness record
Yep.
that I interviewed, and I found this and I was like, all right, Tristan, here's one you don't have, and he's like, no, I actually have that, and I was like,
Okay.
no.
Well, oh well.
I mean,
Scott probably has it too.
yeah, I'm sure Scott does. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing that escapes those guys. I might learn something exists, and they're like already on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think if there's anything else wild that I picked up. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't aspire to be Scott, like, except for his Amazing Fantasy 15. I aspire to have that. I would very much like to have that. I showed a picture of that to the comics shop owner that I was at yesterday. And he was like, I mean, you could just see he was like the anger building inside of him. And when I told him the story of it too, that he was like given it as like employee of the month.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's
crazy.
so wild. So wild. All right, Kevin, I'm going to bring in Mr. Comics to join us. I don't know how we're going to do this. We're going to try. Let's see here. Do I have one with a 3 up? Let's see. Do I have one with 3? I do have one with 3. Do I have... Okay. He's going to become Ron Friends, it looks like. And I'm going to add you in here. Kevin. Okay, you get to remain Mark. So I hope you've been happy with that role. Okay, Mr. Comics, if you're still in the chat, you need to let me know what your Skype handle is so I can bring you in here with Kevin and me. And we can get caught up on your collection. But you got to let me know your Skype handle. This is pretty cool, though. I might do this more often. I like this. And it's nice to meet you, finally. Like, you've been an internet friend for so long that...
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for me about anything, or just, I don't know?
I guess I was kind of asking as we went along. Trying to think of some of the things I didn't type in there as you were talking.
All right. He says his name is Matt Roberts. Yes. Did you give it, like, Mr. Comics? Did you give it a handle? Are you in Great Britain? I've got like a Rob Matt 9 here. Let's see here. I've got. Okay, I'm going to try to add you in right now, Mr. Comics. I might be calling some random other Matt Roberts, but we'll see what ends up happening here. But Matt, that's not you. Okay, so okay, we know that that's not you. Matt, you got to let me know what your handle is. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to add you in here. So whatever you signed up with as your handle, that would be important for me to know. Sorry for cutting you off there, Kevin.
Oh, no, that's fine.
So, Kevin, where are you located?
I'm in Wellsville, New York, which is in the southern tier of New York, nowhere near the city. It's about 2 hours south of Buffalo and about an hour and a half south of Rochester, if you're familiar with where they are.
Yeah, sure. A friend of mine went to RIT. Oh,
okay.
I know that cold area pretty well. That's cool. Do you go in for like New York Comic Con when that happens, or?
No, I've never been to the city yet.
Never in your life?
Surprisingly. No, I'm not originally from here. I've lived here about 21 years or so, originally from south of Pittsburgh.
21 years is enough to originally be from anywhere.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Well, I'm gonna have to like go to New York and like come up and pick you up or something and take you into the city.
That works.
It's definitely worth doing. Mark and I were talking about doing Terrificon again this summer, but it turns out it's like right the week before Mark's 40th birthday, and his wife is throwing him a surprise party, which he now knows about because we were trying to plan Terrificon and she had to tell him no.
Oh yeah.
So unfortunately, like that was really fun. We were hoping to maybe get some Spider Talk fans to all, because that's not too far from you, right? Like 3 or 4 hours, maybe. Connecticut.
It's probably more in terms of 5 or 6.
Oh, really?
From where I'm at.
You know
what?
New York is a continent inside of itself.
It's pretty big. Yeah, like the city itself, I think would take me 6 hours to get to.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you originally were near Baltimore, right?
Yeah, I was like 10 minutes outside or 15 minutes outside of Annapolis, Maryland. If you've ever been down there.
My oldest is going to grad school in Baltimore, and so I figured that would give me opportunity to go to Baltimore Comic Con, which I've heard is a pretty good one, but
really
never been
need to
that
go.
one.
It's the best. I love it because the thing that makes it great is that the Harvey Awards, take place there. So all of the industry people, like the people you and I care about, they travel down to the Harvey Awards and they stay in the hotels and just go to the Baltimore Comic Con. So that's how I got to know Ron Friends, is he would just be there and nobody would be at his table and you can just go hang out with him. Or JMD, wow. I got him to sign 100 plus of my issues because he was just hanging out there, which I would never do today. But
right.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. So he said he thinks he's got it figured out. So let's see here. Matt Roberts. And It should have his image. I don't know, Matt. I'm not. There's a lot of Matt Roberts. I'm sure that comes to no surprise to you, but I don't see anyone with your logo. I just need your ID. Just look up your ID, my friend. It should be on your screen. Kevin, where can he find that ID?
You click on your profile, and it was one of the things that your profile, which would either your picture or your name in the upper left-hand corner of Skype, and then the drop-down that occurs there, there's an option to click Skype profile, and when that pops up, it says Skype name, and that's, if you see in the chat on the YouTube, that's the gobbledygook of numbers and letters that I pasted into the chat.
Yeah, or you can, I think, well, I'm not altogether eager to give out my Skype handle because I don't want people just randomly calling me. But you know what? I will type it in the chat here, because you guys are all Patreon supporters. It's Danimal Clan. So if you send me a message to that handle, I will add you in. I should probably just get an Amazing Spider Talk one, but I'm not really good at branding. If our shift from Superior Spider Talk to Amazing Spider Talk is any indication. Speaking of weird, check out this. This is a supplement to the Denver Post, a comic that only appeared in the Denver Post as a supplement. It is Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk. I'm guessing in Denver based on the background with the mountains. And you can only get it from buying the newspaper and getting a copy of it. Hulk seen on ski slope. I hope he was skiing. In the May, I guess, like Denver and I don't even know. Compliments of May DNF.
Now that one rings a bell, so I may have seen somebody share that before. That seems familiar.
I like his scarf. Let's see what else I got in here. I bought so many comics yesterday. I'm a little ashamed of myself, to be honest.
How many?
Okay, here we go. I think I just got Matt. So let's add him into the call. Sorry, what was that, Kevin?
Oh, I was just gonna ask, how many local comic stores do you have in like a 10 or 20 mile radius? Do you have access to a bunch of them?
Well, in LA, 10 or 20 miles gets you a lot.
Okay.
But, oh, hey,
I think we're good.
There's Matt. All right. Hey, Matt, give me just a second here. I'm going to add you on to our public thing.
All right. Cool.
All right. Matt is 41B, I believe. Nope. I just added in 2 of you here, Kevin. Uh-oh. I got to get the other one. Here's how the sausage is made, everybody. Okay.
Yum.
Here we go. And we're going to put you down here. Look at that. That is like, you get the big spot, but you get to pretend to be Ron Friends for the day.
Well, I have a talent.
Yeah, I know, right. I know, I'm going to change it. It's Matt Roberts, right?
Yes.
And Matt, do you have a a Twitter handle?
I have Instagram.
Okay, give me your IG handle.
It's Mr. Comics 89 South underscore. So
Perfect. Okay, well now you get to be yourself. So sorry for the I don't know if it's an upgrade or downgrade, but you get to be you, and poor Kevin is stuck as Mark. So
I took a screenshot of that, Dan. I'll have to send it to Mark.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. Welcome. Thanks for supporting us, and tell us a little about yourself.
I started collecting comics almost 3 years ago. I was 100% DC, Superman and Action Comics the whole way. And I started watching a channel called Reggie Collects, and he's a big Spider-Man guy like you and Mark are. And his passion wore off on me. I started realizing that Peter Parker and Spider-Man had a lot more meaning to me as an adult, and the responsibility and choices, things like that. And I basically switched to 180 where I'm basically 99% Marvel and very little DC. And I had a plan. Oh yeah. I go 100% into things. So I started looking for podcasts, Spider-Man, and all that stuff. I found you guys right after you did the episode where the shutdown because of COVID, and you're talking to four comic book shops about how to survive that. And then I went back to the beginning with Superior and started listening to it from then. I pretty much caught up within a few months. And I was having a bet with myself on who finished collecting first, you or Mark, and all that.
Well, that answer still hasn't been answered because it really depends on your read about the annuals. So where do you stand on this discussion, Matt?
Well, since I'm collecting, I'm collecting ASM first. Annuals will come next. But I do think that the annuals count part of the story, honest. So I do like that. So. But I like that little banter there. So I always say it depends and all that. Do you have all of them? They don't count.
Yeah, well, it's an ongoing thing. Although I think if you remember in the holiday episode that we don't speak about, Mark, gave the gift of allowing the annuals to count. So I'll take that. And I have Tom Brevoort on my side. So I think I'm doing pretty well. Kevin, where do you land on this?
Definitely annuals count for sure.
I think in a couple months, and I've been meaning to do this for years, but I'm going to design T-shirts that say annuals count and annuals don't count, and we'll see which T-shirt sells more copies, and maybe that'll be the ultimate decider of the competition. If I can tie it into some kind of capitalistic enterprise, we'll continue there. So Matt, you started 3 years ago and you've already nearly bought the entire thing. And it looks like you've got some great copies on the wall there behind you. Like you said, you do things hard, pretty hardcore. Do you want to tell us about that quest? How have you been progressing with this? Are you buying them online?
I found a lot of stuff in the beginning on eBay, I think, but I've done my comic shop on eBay, and I bought a few things from a seller directly through Instagram. That's how I got. I believe because at one time I had ASM 300 signed by Todd McFarlane, and an ASM 2 I got from a shop called Hall of Justice Comics and Collectibles from Denver, about 3 hours from me. And I had to sell them because we had a financial situation and it was capital I had on hand, and so I had to get those books back. But I managed to get all the books back that I sold eventually. And in fact, I got issues 1, 2, and 3 from the same guy directly through Instagram, so we avoided a couple $100 in eBay fees each time. So it's very nice about that. So, but yeah, I managed to just finish collecting number 6 recently, and I have half of them are graded and half of them are ungraded. So right now I want to get all of them 1 through 10 graded, so that way they're protected behind that plastic cover.
Yeah, you're wise. My issue 2 is a piece of junk, and the more I read it twice, and I damaged it even more. So that's the one issue. If I could replace it, I would. But now that I look at prices for these things, they're nuts. Are you just waiting for finding the gold? You're oh, this one is actually with the right price for this thing, or are you just kind of biting the bullet in this bull market at the current time?
I think I'm kind of right price, although I'm a very firm believer in low grades better than no grade.
Yeah.
My ASM one has a missing page that doesn't affect the story, and it had no cover. So I bought a facsimile cover for it.
Mm.
So, and I paid 1,500 for that. So it's one of those things where I don't think I'll ever upgrade unless I'm seriously saving up for it, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You know, and in fact, I even have a single graded page of Amazing Fantasy 15, non-Spider-Man story, but I own a single page of the book just so I
You've
could
got the
claim.
Martian story.
Yeah, no, actually, it's the Mummy story.
Mummy
It's
story,
the
okay.
one right before. So yeah, so just so I can claim, I can hold up the label and say, "See, I have AF-15."
Well, it's funny you say that because I was at like I said, I was buying all these books which I have stacked here still the other day and or just yesterday, and the guy whose shop I was in was like, "Yeah, I had a customer walk in with just a long box who wanted to sell it, and I gave him $300 without really looking through it." And in the back, the very last thing was an Amazing Fantasy 15 in like a Ziploc bag. And it's like a 0.5. And he said it would be like a 1.5, but it's a 0.5 because it's missing a page. And I asked him, I said, like, well, which page? Is it a page from Spider-Man or is it a page from The Mummy or the Martian story? And he was like, I don't know. I never read it. And I was like, what do you mean you never read it? Like, at least find out what page is missing. Like, I want to know if you got the complete Spider-Man story in there. It's only 11 pages. Like, just figure it out, So it's sealed away, and I guess maybe he'll never know if he's actually got the full story or not. That would really bug me. I would want to know. I would want to know.
Yeah. I'm refurbishing my argument after I complete my collection and all that. Hey, honey, do you mind if we refinance the house so I can get 10 grand for a book?
Yeah, right. That's not going to happen.
Good luck with that.
I don't mind spending an extra $100 on the mortgage. I pay it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky because like my wife encouraged me to get the Amazing Spider-Man #1 because she knew that it like meant a lot, and we were at our first convention out here in LA, and the price was like right, and I wasn't gonna do it because I was beating myself up. I was like, I can't. It's too much money. I can't do it. And she was like, you're gonna beat yourself up even more if you don't spend that money. So we did it. We haggled it down and bit the bullet and did it. So that was, pleasant, I guess. How did you get your #1? Do you have a good story behind that?
It was just me looking, keeping an eye on it. One of those eBay notifications, just keeping an eye on it, because I had the one price here, just like looking at it, going, every once in a while I look on it going, I'm never going to be able to afford that right now. I'm not going to be able to afford that right now. And I found, hey, that one's graded and coverless. That's doable, and I can do it because I put it on my my PayPal thing for credit and then paid that off. Is what I did for a lot of the bigger books, and I pay it that way instead of saving up. I spend the willing amount of credit and then I pay that off, and then I buy again instead of saving up, because otherwise I would never actually manage to save the money up. It's a lot easier to pay a bill than it is to put aside $20 and not touch it. But I found it on eBay there, and I'm going, hey, I know that guy. I bought my ASM3 from him. And so I went to brought him up on Instagram going, hey, I saw you had this book on there. What is the best deal we could do if we avoid eBay? And then we just discussed that and came up with the price and then shipped it out there. And so I set up a video just for that because I have my own YouTube channel, Mr. Comics 89, and so I had my own thing set up to where I unraveled, a few pictures of my collecting and all the way down to a dun dun, there it is, kind of a thing.
That's cool. I was gonna say you have a better background setup than I do. I'm hoping that you had some kind of way of displaying that.
Yeah. Well, my desk was a different spot. It was over here for a while, and I had different things, So my slabs displayed on the wall here were a lot smaller, and so I was like going, I really want an L-shaped desk. That's my favorite kind of desk. I want to be able to turn back and forth. And so my wife got it for me for my birthday, and I put it right here in the corner so I could have my comics right in the background for a perfect
One of these
display.
days, I'll actually get a professional setup, you know. But I moved so much. I think in the time that I've been doing Amazing Spider Talk, I've moved 6 or 7 times. So I'm never complacent enough to set anything up. Meanwhile, Kevin/Mark has the healthiest background of all of us, which is just a normal living room. So hats off to you, Kevin/Mark.
Yeah, my laptop is up in the working from home for now, due to COVID, of course. But
Yeah.
if I was in my little comic room, it might look a little better, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Kevin, do you? I mean, I know you said you just read digitally and stuff, but do you have like a comic that you feel particularly like strong memories about, or something that you own?
Yeah, yeah. So for the back issues, I'll just tend to go digital, but I have Amazing Spider-Man 33, which is the famous lifting the rubble. So that's the one
I
that's
feel like
the
I remember you
soft spot.
posting about when you got that. It was like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
It was, yeah. Some of the places I follow, which is a comic store, they would do quizzes every once in a while, and they would give you $5 credit, and they would share like a tiny piece of a cover, and you would have to guess what issue was this from, and it was from one of the Jim Valentino Guardians of the Galaxies that I just happened to know what issue it was, and got a $5 credit. Went on their website, was looking, and I said, oh, there's ASM 33. I might as well apply it to that, and that's how I got it.
Five whole
Speak,
dollars, and I bet
Yep.
Matt is about to reveal his copy of ASM 33 from the bottom of the
yeah.
screen.
What do you think?
Oh, it's a
Nice.
plus size version. Did
Yeah.
you get that painted?
No, I painted it.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
cool.
wow.
So, I mean, I made little changes. Obviously, I can't quite do water the way other people can.
Oh,
And my
it's slick.
Spider-Man looks like his face was flattened a little bit. You know, it's a little elongated, but
So
you
Matt,
know,
behind you, is that you in a Spider-Man costume? And did you do that? The other side of you.
oh, this side here, yes. Like I said, when I try and do painting and all that, and I did like a self-portrait.
Oh,
So,
that's
let's see
so
Oh,
if you
cool.
nice.
So yeah, it's like I said, my two favorite comic book superheroes and all that. You know, my alma mater to one, DC and Marvel. So if I can get a little bit better picture. It's hard to tell between the camera and the square box.
Sorry, it's a little restrictive.
It's all
Very
right.
cool.
But yeah, so I try to make it look like a comic book cover. So
What's a bummer is this feed is working really well. Like I wish our live broadcasts worked this well.
yeah.
um, no, but
Hey Dan,
so,
um, I just wanted to. Sorry to interrupt there. I'm gonna drop off. So it was nice talking to you. Nice meeting you, kind of in person, as you will, and
yeah,
nice talking to you. Nice talking to you too, Matt.
yeah. Well,
That's
I
nice to
hope
meet
we can
you.
meet in person someday without you having to drive for 6 hours.
Me too. Me
All
too.
right, see you, Kevin. Thanks again for supporting
Yep.
us for so long.
Okay. Mark Giannacchio signing off.
Nice,
All
nice.
right, Matt. I'm going to shift you over to two up here. Uh,
You don't appear on the video that I'm looking at, so I have to look down at my iPad to see you. So it's kind of weird.
oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think if there's two video streams of me, it's gonna probably crash. So um, now you're really getting how the sausage is made here.
Yeah. Oop, are we still good? Oh, there we go.
There you go. Whoops.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt. So what else is up? Tell me a little bit more. You have any questions for me or any thoughts about the show? Anything I need to change? What am I doing wrong?
I don't really know. I mean, I do like the whole guest aspect. I mean, maybe if you guys want to do, we might, you know, it'd be really cool once in a while to bring in fans or Patreon members, you know, like just a group chat kind of a thing, and all. Because I've often thought about you going, oh, I'd love to have Mark or Dan on my channel and just talk Spider-Man and all that. So really cool. Because one of my shows I like to do is I have a show on my channel called the Knockout. It's kind of like a debate show where you take like last season I had heroes versus villains, and so I had 8 heroes on one side, 8 villains on the other. Two people would debate each other. The winner, the live chat would move on, and then we had a winner at the very end for who won in the end. So I mean, that's me going off tangent.
Oh
But
no, that's cool.
I mean,
That's
I don't really
cool.
know.
I mean, I would say just reach out. We're people like you. I think
Yeah.
people, because our show has got some kind of popularity to it, which I can't explain.
Yeah.
We're just two people. In our, well, I'm not in my basement anymore, but you know, we have no claim to fame. So reach out. If I'm available, I
Yeah.
tend to do whatever I get invited to. So,
Yeah. Well, it's almost kind of like we're not worthy.
well,
We're
no,
not-
I'm saying, like, I'm not anybody. I have no special claim to fame. So, other than my show, which is only something because you guys make it something. Like, you listen, and
Yeah.
that's what allows me to get the guests. Is I can say I have such and such number of listeners. So any power that I have is bestowed upon me by you guys. So,
Mhm.
reach out.
Cool. Yeah. Because I don't really have any other questions. Man, I'm one of those people that go, oh yeah, I have 100 questions. And then we get into the chat to ask the questions, and I'm like, I had them. I know I did.
It is a weird.
Mom always said, write it down.
It's also like structureless, like I bet if we were talking about a particular topic, you could come up with any number of things. But when it's just like the world is your oyster, you can talk about anything.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any
Well, like,
theories on who Norman Osborn is?
Or who he's becoming and all that here, or
No, the annual shows.
Oh, no, I don't. I mean, because when I first saw that, I thought this is some sort of fun, elaborate get up, like a faux mystery kind of a
Yeah.
thing. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm still convinced that it has to be Mark, and he's just either pulling a leg or playing his parts.
Yeah, no,
So-
no. I mean, it seems like it's him, but I'm telling you it's not. Like, I know Mark well enough to know he can't sustain a joke like that. But yeah, I truly have no idea who it is. I mean, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter. There was a new development in it where I got a puzzle in the mail, and when you assembled the puzzle, it was like a panel from Amazing Spider-Man 27 with Norman holding the mask up, and on the back was like a handwritten note riddle to me. So it keeps going on, and I'm honestly, it's a little freaky, but
Yeah,
anyway.
don't know. I mean, yeah. That, I mean, they said it because it seemed a little. I have no idea. I'm either very good or very bad at guessing. Like when Kindred, I was little things were just like I can get my best guess is this so far, but I had no best guess. But that one episode where Kindred visits Norman in Ravencroft, right,
Yeah.
or whatever, and he's talking to himself all crazy and all that, and I'm going like, I know who he is. This has to be him because I have a kind of off and on again, not so. I mean, I have a slightly difficult relationship with my dad. Just personal experiences that anyone watching this or going to watch in the future doesn't want to hear about. But I'm like, I recognize that relationship. It is how you talk to your dad if you're upset at him. I know who this is. That has to be Harry.
Oh, that's really
So,
interesting. So
know-
who do you think it is now? Do you still think it's Harry?
Was it you? I think which one of you said like? I think it was like that whole when the marriage was reset and kind of thing brought back. I think it might be that the whole Harry Lyman, Harry Osborn kind of the Harry that died and Harry that died is brought back from hell kind of a thing. I mean I do kind of tend to agree on. I forget which one of you said that or had that idea, but I do like that idea that it's a past life or a alternate timeline that was erased, brought back to the present, or fought its way back to the present, haunting Peter. That just because, like I said, I loved the whole marriage and all that. And so when I found out that they were when they split up, and I found out, like I said, way after, because I got into Spider-Man way late, like right after I first started collecting. I watched the TV show as a kid, but I didn't really get into comics until, they said 3 years ago when I was 30. So it was
You were born in
different.
'89.
Yes. Yeah, hence the 89.
Right, I figured so. I mean, I was born in '86, so I figured you looked just about my age.
Yeah. So when I was like, wait, they got a divorce? No, this son of a no. I like that. I like them to get together. So I've been every single issue I pick up, it's like going, come on, get back together. Come on, get back together. I'm waiting for it. I mean, especially like when they had that Renew Your Vows storyline, I'm going, okay, perfect. You can keep them apart in the regular storyline, but give us guys who like the marriage some peace. Give us that extended storyline. Give us our fix.
That story was great until they pushed Jerry Conway out the door, which I think is a shame. Like, don't push Jerry Conway away. Like, you might think you know Spider-Man, but you don't know it better than Jerry Conway. Like,
yeah, I actually had the chance last year, the first Colorado Springs Comic-Con. Jerry Conway was supposed to be there, and so I'm going, oh, I was gonna get a reprint of first Punisher there because they didn't have the first one at the time. But then COVID hit, and tickets were good for the next year, for this upcoming year here. So last I know, it's still going on. But so far, I haven't seen him pop back up on a list of guests, and so it's like I was that close to getting his signature.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, if I see him at a con, I'll reach out to you. Maybe I can get something signed for you because, he lives here in LA, so I see Jerry all the time.
Yeah, man, if I could just, because then I said I bought first Punisher. I had upgraded my copy of Death of the Green Goblin and all that, and so I was just going like, I had a couple of things planned and thought, well, I know what I can do. I can have him sign the reprint of the first Punisher and have that as a giveaway on my channel. It's Conway's signature of the first Punisher. I mean, it might not be the first Punisher, but for a comic book collector, it'd be like, or a Spider-Man collector, it'd be like, hell yeah, I'd imagine. So, but yeah, like I said, I just really hope he comes back. It's that close.
Yeah, right. So tell me a little bit about your channel. What kind of things do you do on there?
It started out as just weekly Wednesdays, new comic book day haul. Here's this book. I like the cover. Can't wait to read the story. And it's devolved into other things like here unboxings and all that. I started getting into Funko Pops a few months or a year ago. And so I have so I start showing Pops and all that. But yeah, then I had the idea. There was a show called Comigories. You probably might have heard of it. It was on a channel called The Boy Who Had Seven. Now that he's busy with a church thing, it's on a channel named John's Comics with Kids. But what it is 4 guys with the 2 co-hosts. Kind of like a comic book cover competition where like they go through categories. Like like a full face. Like a full face cover on a comic book,
sure.
Or a I didn't do it. So you cover that says I didn't do it, or kind of or you think gets away with it. Like
I'm listening to you. I'm finding my own entry into a full face one.
Okay, and then it'd be like beat up cover kind of a thing. So I'll be like okay, let me think. A beat up cover. That episode of I don't know. Let's see. Or like I have a copy here of Batman 3 Jokers where Joker's holding a bloody crowbar. And so that would be my beat up cover because hell, he beat up Robin.
Yeah, right. Here's my entry into the full face one.
I'll have to wait a few seconds to see it show up on the tablet here, but let's see. But yeah, you have 30 seconds to do it. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that.
All right.
So it's best 2 out of 3. So then, like you said, each person will show their comic. Then they'll drop a link to a straw poll in the chat, and everyone in the chat votes for it. The winner of 2 out of 3 advances to the second round, or he faces off against the winner of the other 2 guys. And again, they get an extra 45 seconds in the second round, or no, an extra 15 seconds, so it's 45 seconds total to do it. And then you basically have a winner at the end of the night. And so that's basically the show. And so it's a lot of fun. You get people running off camera and then coming back, because if you're not in your seat with a comic book in hand, or don't have a comic book in your hand in the screen, you're disqualified. You basically, it's a strike against you. You basically lose by default.
So you better know where your comics are and have them well organized to pull something like that.
I've had my because I have a homemade long box filing cabinet of 12, a few inches shorter than the long box over here. So I had all 12 drawers sitting out, so I could turn my chair and then I've also been on there another time where I create a short box, and I had full face, I got bloody, I have action, I got this. You're trying to guess categories, and so I picked 2 covers, and labeled them, color, blue, green, DC, villain. So that way, so you better know your collection and know where it is, or you better grab something and sell the hell out of it. So
you're right. You better be good at thinking on your feet. Literally and figuratively.
Yeah, and the trash talk that you get sometimes is hilarious.
I bet. That sounds like fun. I'm gonna have to tune in. What was that called again? Comigories?
Yeah, it's called Comigories. And also, if you go to my channel, Mr. Comics 89, I created a playlist of Comigories. Comigories and all that. Most of them I've caught, kind of a thing. But yeah, it's just all of them there. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's really, really fun, especially the later season here when someone called Jay Hood created a custom introduction, a trailer kind of thing for the show, where basically Comigories is spelled out with different letters from comic book covers. It'll show a picture of Amazing Spider-Man 200. And I believe and then the I from Spider-Man forms the I in Comigories.
Okay.
So it's really fun like that. In fact, you can go to on Instagram. There's a Comigories group there on Instagram, because it's where people can play at home. So they'll give you the category, and then people at home can find a cover they like and submit the picture via message when the show's going on, and they will show, Mr. Comics 89, here's his entry. One of the covers was for April Fool's Day. It was called a Trick or Treat cover, and I'm like, okay, I got one, and then I thought, wait a minute, I got the perfect one. I went to grab a second, I think the B cover. I grabbed the Superman wedding album, kind of wedding album one shot. It wasn't the wedding invite, but a Superman flying away with Lois Lane, and so it was like, was she tricked into marriage, or is that a treat kind of a thing? Or so I got a whole bunch of laughs from everyone on the screen just from that one, going, yeah, Mr. Comics wins the best comic cover of the night to me. So
that's great. That's great. We'll check that out. So you said you had a playlist on your channel, and that's just on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Very cool.
I do. I tried doing I tried tweeting, but I just don't seem to get into tweeting. It's just one of those things I can barely I try and do, and I do it for a few days or a few weeks, but then it's going, and I'm bored.
That's like me with Instagram. I think people were excited when I started the Instagram up for Amazing Spider Talk, and then I just kind of fell off the wagon. I don't get Instagram, but I get Twitter.
Yeah.
But I also at the same time, I'm nobody should ever join Twitter if they're not already on Twitter. So it's it's a win some, lose some kind of thing. But
currently on Instagram, I'm doing my 366 days of Spider-Man, where I have a comic book cover from my collection each day, or a comic. It's not just ASM. Sometimes it's the annual. Sometimes it was a Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man kind of book.
I remember. So I'm following. You tagged me in one of those, I think. Yeah,
I think I saw. I tagged you, and I think I tagged Mark. I think I just tag you guys once in a while and all that. It's like one of those things going like, oh, they're probably busy, and I tag them once in a while because I don't want to get I don't want to try to tag the same people every single day because I don't want to become a nuisance.
No, there's people that do that to me on Twitter. They just tag me in everything, and I just muted them, and they don't know that I'm not watching anymore. But it's like you can't tag me in everything. But I appreciated you doing it because I didn't know about you until you tagged me, and I was like, oh, this is actually really cool that he's doing this. So
yeah. So I'm a little less than 100 days out, or 110 days out. I designed it. I designed it or timed it to finish right at or the day after I hit 3 years on 3 years on YouTube.
That's really cool.
So that's where I timed it.
I got one more question for you, and then I'm gonna go because I'm going to the movies with my wife. I'm curious. You got into comics in your 30s 3 years ago. Like for me, comics are so tied to nostalgia. Not saying that there's not stuff I would get into now anyway, but I am curious, like what brought you to comics so late, and like what allowed you to really like latch onto these things if it wasn't nostalgia oriented.
Tattoos brought me to comics.
Oh, really?
Well, because what happened was I was sitting there getting. I think it was this one. I found a family crest. My family crest. I'm not sure if you can see it real well.
Yeah, it looks cool.
But so I was sitting there in the chair for 3 hours, and I was facing out the door. And he had just started getting because it was a tattoo / comic shop because he had the space for it. So that was my is my LCS. And so I saw a few comic books now and then, or a few over the last 7 months beforehand. But it was like, cool, whatever. But I'm standing there, I'm sitting in my chair, I'm staring at their newly graded comic book section. There was like 8 slabs there, that they bought, and I'm staring at Action Comics 687. It's the first Eradicator in the Reign of Superman, because that's my favorite storyline, the Death and Reign of Superman storyline. Uh-huh. And so I'm staring at the die-cut cover, the whole green cover with the Superman emblem, and I'm thinking, that looks very cool. Because like I said, back then it was all Superman to me. I love that a lot. That's really cool. And if I hadn't I considered it was like $75 that they're selling it for, and I thought, I like that, and I finished my tattoo, and I looked at it and going like, if I hadn't just spent $400 on my tattoo here, I might consider buying it. But I thought, because I said I'm going to leave, and I'm going to come back to visit my friends because I consider shop owner, and this is going to be gone. And I came back like a month or two later to just say hi. It was still there, and I'm like, you know what? I love this story arc. I read that comic book, that whole Death and Reign, and I bought, and I said, I'm going to buy this. And then I thought, I want the first appearance of the other 4 and the Death of Superman 75. I have it in a 9.8 signed by Dan Gvozden up there graded, So I was going to buy the 4 and the 5. It's my 5 comic books. But then slippery slope. I was going to say, this is the most expensive tattoo you ever got because it hooked you on something completely different. Yes, and so I was like going. I started like, I like the comic book. I like the comic books. I like the books, and so I started buying the comic books, and then started watching comic book videos on YouTube, and that got me into Reggie Collects channel, and it got me into Spider-Man. It all snowballed from there.
Well, that's hilarious. That's a great story. I've never heard of someone getting into it through tattoos.
Yeah, because I love reading, and I have a lot of history books and all that. So I loved, and I read Leonardo da Vinci's book by Walter Isaacson, and it's like reading a lot. Reading about Leonardo da Vinci inspired me to try and paint because I was a decent artist as a kid, but I got out of it, and that's when I figured out a way to paint, and I started getting better and better at it. And comic books combined a love of reading, a love of artwork, and it's the comic book thing. So collecting comic books was like all my hobbies and passions mixed into one thing.
Well, it's funny because tattoos and comic books weirdly go together because they're both kind of graphic art. It's using ink and that's kind of neat. I've always wanted a tattoo, but I'm way too chicken to do it.
Yeah.
It's not the
It
pain;
was
it's the
my
permanence that scares me. Um,
Yeah, tattoos were my therapy. I was, or I still kind of am, but I am no longer a phobia about it. It was my way to get over my fear of needles.
yeah,
So,
I had a fear of needles until this year because I had surgery and I had an organ removed, and part of that required a lot of needle work, and so I think I've gotten over it. And I'll tell you, I rushed for the COVID vaccine. So,
yeah,
if that's anything, I think now it's more just a fear of permanence than anything
yeah,
else. It's like, because being an art critic, kind of for a living, my biggest fear is that I would get something and then I would look at it and only be able to see its flaws, and
mm,
and then just but at the same time, I look at my body and all I'm able to see are its flaws anyway. So I don't really know who I'm kidding. Uh,
yeah. I I have a burn scar on my back from too much of a rice bag that I use to treat my bad back. That I just from 20 years of sitting at a V angle and all that. So I'm kind of kind of burn scars up my back, and so it's like, well, the only thing missing from my collection on me is Spider-Man. Everything else on me is like I said, I got Harry Potter, I got my Denver Broncos, I guess I got Superman down there, but that tattoo has a different meaning with words, Superman logo. So I thought, well, I need Spider-Man. So if I had something on my back for Spider-Man to cover up the scars, it would it basically hide what I don't like to see, and give me something I would like to see.
well, that's
So
cool. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll get my scars from my surgery covered up, although they're on my stomach, which is not exactly the most flattering place for a tattoo. Um, I
yeah,
don't want to see
yeah,
Spider-Man's face just slowly drooping as I get older, but you know, be that as it may, this is a level of intimacy no Amazing Spider Talk listener ever wanted to hear.
well, well, real quickly, then we'll dive into something else real quick. One of my first episodes of the Knockout, and this is actually perfect for you guys, was who would win in a fight? Superior Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man? Who would you think would win that fight? Doc Ock or
Well,
Spider?
didn't we
I mean,
get this in the pages of the comics?
not sure,
I think we got it
but
in. I think we got it in Spider Verse. Um,
yeah,
but I
I
would
think
I
we
would
got it
say
in.
superior because he would not hold back in any way. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean I tend to think that Doc Ock is smarter than Peter, but and more ruthless. But then Peter kind of always wins. So I'm not sure if that was a physical limitation or what. So that's a hard call. But because I think Peter, I mean, I'm still bummed about how Superior ended. I think it's a bit of a cheat. Um, like, because like Peter ostensibly lost everything, and then kind of like they came up with an excuse to let him win. So
Mhm.
I still would, if it were up to me, I would go back and rewrite the ending of that story. I mean, what's past is past. It's not worth
Yeah.
rehashing. Although that's what Nick Spencer seems very keen on doing, which is rehashing the past. But
Yeah.
if it were me, I would have liked to see that play out a little differently. But to your question, I don't know. I mean, if it's just about pure power, I think Superior would be much more comfortable exercising power over in a battle versus Peter Parker.
Cool, cool. Well, when I finally get my complete ASM collection that I want, I will since I have you guys' blessing, I'll definitely reach out to you and Mark and see if we can do if you want to come on my channel, we can just discuss our collections
Yeah, that
and
would
all
be
that.
fun. Yeah, keep me updated. Especially if you finish it this summer, because like I said, I'm a high school teacher. Are you going to finish it this
Yeah.
summer?
No, I don't think I'm not even close. I mean, and I was wrong before. I think I have ASM 13 left to collect, so no, that's still a pretty
Yeah.
pricey book after we were here in the movie. But I don't know, maybe by the end of next year, I think it might look good. But like I said, I don't know. I'm pretty much down to the $20-$30 books at decent or minimum value, it seems like, and then up. So I don't know how far. Like I said, I have my checklist
Yeah, of
right
course.
here that I have. So, and then with every book that's a key highlighted, and every book that I have in a reprint highlighted in the box, and so I can technically have a complete collection, but not a pure blood collection if I finish getting the issues first, and I don't have, if I get, because right now I think I have a reprint of ASM 13. So if I could technically say I have every issue of Spider-Man, but it's not the pure collection which I want.
Well, do you have a Spider-Man number 87, which is a must read? I mean, come on.
Yeah. 87 is gone. 87 is not on the list.
Okay, well,
just
so you know, it's a must read for you here. No, I'm just kidding. This is an Onslaught book. Weird book. Anyway. Clone Saga. Good times.
Yep. So I will let you go so you can go to a movie. What are you guys going to see?
In the Heights.
We just
musical.
saw Cruella last night, me and my wife.
Oh, yeah, we saw that like a week and a half ago. Did you like it?
It was really good. I mean, I was having a debate with myself on the way home if I liked the 101 Dalmatians live action version from years ago, or this one that's focused on Cruella, central to Cruella more. I mean, I guess I'm one of those people that can argue both sides and, going, well, Cruella is ultimately a bad guy, so I like 101 Dalmatians more, but I like this movie a lot. So it's like one of those things where I can argue myself to where both win.
I just didn't understand this movie because at the end she seems to like dogs and she gifts Pongo and Perdita to the main characters of 101 Dalmatians, and I'm like, wait a minute, does she like Dalmatians or does she hate Dalmatians? I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, I didn't understand that either. Maybe because this is a alternate timeline, Earth 2.
Yeah.
or it could just be, like I said, that 10 years hasn't passed, 10, 15, 20 years hasn't passed, and, where she doesn't care about her dog died and doesn't want any more, doesn't want the, kind of a thing, and just, hey, I want spots.
We're going to find out in the sequel, which they're already developing, so who knows? Maybe we'll get a Cruella trilogy. Well, anyway, Matt, it was really nice to meet you, and good luck with your hunt, and thanks for supporting us. It means a lot to me, and especially to have such a nice guy supporting our show. So,
well, thank you, and thank you very much for giving my new desktop picture.
You're now Mark Giannacchio.
Yeah, I'm gonna post on Instagram and go, hey guys, guess what? I replaced. I'm the new Mark Giannacchio. He doesn't know yet. Shh.
Well, have a good time with that. I won't tell him, and we'll see what happens when he sees it. Well, hey, nice to meet you.
I'll make sure to tag him. All right, nice to meet you too.
See you later.
Take care.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, so this has been the end of an experiment, and I wanted to thank Kevin and Matt for joining me on this today. I hope everybody who's watching this enjoyed this. I'm going to try to do this every now and again, and I'll give everybody a little more of a heads up than I did this time, which is just like, surprise, we're doing something. I didn't really catalog my comics like I wanted to, which is fine because it was fun to talk to you guys. Maybe we'll make this more like topics oriented, but I figured, if I don't have to do any work scripting something and I have some time to kill, might as well hop on and talk to everybody about comics, which was the whole point of this endeavor in the first place, was to find some friends to talk comics with. And, it turned into a 300 episode thing, but, this was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this kind of more informal, thing and to see me a little bit less scripted than usual. Anyway, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Episode 300 is coming out this week, I promise, and thank you for being patient while we've been on hiatus. I just didn't want to release episode 300 as 301 and 302. It had to be on the nose, because if I'm going to be critical of comics being wrong about their numbering, by golly, I'm going to be accurate about mine. Although I'm also counting like the introduction episodes and like the point ones. So who knows? It's all over the place, but this is the 300th piece of audio we've released. So I hope you guys enjoy it. We've been working really hard on it. And yeah, we'll see you guys this week with that episode. And come back tomorrow night. I think Mark and I are doing a live recording of the issue 67 that we missed last weekend, and maybe 68 if we have enough time. And yeah, all right. Well, I'm just rambling. Hey, have a good one, everybody, and I'll see you guys